Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Good Morning Education Show. Today is Tuesday, the 27th of July, 2021, and I welcome you to the show this morning. My name is Folu Falodun, and I will be your host for today. We welcome everyone who is joining us, who are our return tribe members. Thank you for always being there. And for our new tribe members, we are glad that you are there. We have a bell of blessing that we use to welcome our new tribe members, but I don't have a hold of that bell this morning. Nonetheless, we recognize you and we are glad that you're here with us. Welcome to the show this morning. As is our practice, we start off with the headlines from the dailies, and then not just the general headlines, but the headlines as it applies to education. And then we go on to take our grant of the day, and then we take the topic for the day, which would be dissected, commented upon by our amazing team of analysts. And this morning we already have one analyst and one chief host on standby, ready to take the show off the ground today. So, I'm going to be quite partial this morning, and I will be welcoming Dr. Omotola Akishola first to the show. Good morning, Omotola.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Thank you. And good morning to Mr. Rotimi Tayo. Oh, I can't hear you.
Because I'm a bit partial in responding as well, so I don't need to respond immediately. Say good morning. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dr. Motola. Great. Good morning to all great people out there. Good morning to OAU alumnus who spent 8 years reading a 4-year course.
Well, that's part of what makes us who we are. Resilience. We are strong like that.
Yeah, right. All right, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. We're streaming from Lagos, Nigeria. She's streaming from somewhere outside within Nigeria, actually, to Nigeria, to West Africa, to Africa, to the entire world. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Without further ado, we'll be going right into the headlines for today, the headlines from the dailies. First headline: Commissioner calls for failed parents tribunal. This is quite an interesting one. The Osho State Commissioner for Information and Civic Orientation, Funke Egbemode, on Monday called on the federal government through the National Orientation Agency to set up failed parents tribunal to restore traditional family values. Omotala, I am itching to hear your comments, your thoughts on this.
I'm actually laughing in French right now because I'm like, this is just interesting. But I'll say I applaud our audacity in terms of even pitching these. But I think when our government that she's calling on, they are rotting to the core and they don't have values. How are they supposed to now lecture parents on values when they themselves, they don't have values? So I don't know how the black pot is supposed to be calling the kettle black. So I don't think that's how it works. Leadership is not about the position, but showing and living that value. And we don't see that in our leaders right now. So I don't think they have the right, or they should have the audacity and the legal backing to be able to call failed parents in court to question where they themselves, they are failed leaders. So I'll stop there for now.
Thank you. I really would have loved to hear the laugh in French, but we'll take it as it is right now. And good morning to the show, the ever vibrant Mrs. Okay, Ajayi. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I mean, that was interesting, really. I'd like to hear that laughter as well.
Let me try. It is
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, so that is just that, that seems very fitting for the headline, really. And what's your comment on this headline, Mr. Ajayi?
I mean, I get their point. I get their point, to be honest, because, but like honestly, it doesn't make any sense at all. We're in a failed, I wouldn't like to say that we're in a failed nation, but every home, every community is just a microcosm of what is happening in the community, and in the nation at large. So they need to think about fixing governance. Then they can begin to talk about parents. Because right now, a lot of people, they're just trying to make it work. Unfortunately, yeah. So Dr. Motala, I think she said it all, to be honest.
All right, all right. Let's just leave that and move on to, to the next headline. Global IT certification graduation requirements for our students. That's coming from Caleb University. They now have a global IT certification that is a graduation requirement for all of their students. Mr. Itayo, what do you think about this? Does it have to be enforced, or do students, can they make a choice on IT certification?
Well, if you notice, getting to universities is it requires what we call offer and acceptance. So when the university offers you admission, then you are accepting the admission, which means you're accepting what they have to offer. And so if their prerequisite is that their students must be certified um, with a particular kind of certification, then it's a buyer's market. You cannot buy into that value and now begin to pick and choose. I think also every school is thinking about distinguishing their products and the results they have so that they can actually protect their sustainability plan, their survival, their significance, and also branding themselves from the norm. And so it's going to be very, very, very weird if we now say that why should you subject students to requirements on IT certification. We all know that because of this situation of the context of the university and the society, IT should not be an elitist thing. It should be a general literate thing. It's almost like a skill lingua franca. So that's what I think.
Okay, Mrs. Ajayi, what do you think on this? Looks like
To be
okay.
honest, I don't. I mean, I get the point, but I don't believe. Hello,
Yeah, I can hear you.
hello.
I
Okay,
can hear
yeah,
you.
I think I'm on. Okay, I mean, I get that point, but I don't see that they need to. I don't see that they need to make it mandatory. Because again, when you say an IT certification, what exactly does the certification do? If I study theater arts, for example, what I should be able to know is understand the dynamics of how to use technology in theater arts. That doesn't require a certification, right? So what I would have thought they would have done is say, oh, you know what? In all our course of study, there's an integration of technology such that when our students graduate, they know how to use technology as needed in their different courses of study. That's what I would have imagined. Because when you say an IT certification, sometimes it doesn't even have any bearing on what they might be studying. So what's the point of the IT? It just reminds me of when I went to an IT school after I left secondary school. Until today, I don't even know what they were teaching me in that place. Do you understand? I've never used it beyond that, beyond that time, right? So we shouldn't just slap on labels. I feel that where we are right now, any label that we want to slap on people should have functionality attached to it. And I'm not seeing the functionality for an IT certification for everybody. No. Should they know how to use technology tools? 100%. And that needs to be embedded in their curriculum. So it almost seems to me like as if they are trying to run away from what they should do in terms of curriculum upgrades, and then they are running into an IT certification that may or may not have any bearing on what these students are learning. So that's my, when I saw the headline, honestly, I was like, what? But yeah.
All right, thank you, thank you. I think we should just go on to the next headline. Abdul Razak approves 4 years promotion arrears for Subeb teachers. That's the governor of Kwara State. Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak has approved the implementation of promotion arrears for tens of thousands of teachers and staff of the State Universal Basic Education Board, effectively ending years of career stagnation that brought workers' morale to an all-time low. Omotola, I hope you're not laughing in Italian this time around.
No, like actually, I think it's a good move. Even like according to the report, they said since 2017, that's when they did the last promotion or anything. One of the things I noticed in what they said was that he was providing money for motorcycles, vehicles for operational vehicles for school, electronic gadgets, and instructional materials for basic school. And my question is, where were all this money that he now has to do all of these things? Where were they before when they really needed it? And now, so it's not too late, but at the same time, I'm just like, what is the motive? I don't trust the motive behind this new generosity that is coming up. And so, and then they said you're just using 2 days or something, August 2nd and 5th, to do the interviews, to decide the oral interviews and promotional examination, August 2nd and 5th. And I'm like, how can they do that for all the teachers across the state? And so, yes, it's a good move, and I really hope that they deliver on this promise, that it's not just something that they keep pushing them and then they don't pay them, or they don't use those new materials for the good of the students and the school and education. But I'm still a bit, I want to see it when it's done, when we see the headline that, oh, they actually did it, then I'll celebrate him. But for now, it's okay.
It's interesting how everything that comes from leadership without, I don't know if we have been trained to, or we just have become so desensitized to the promises over
We don't trust
years.
them. We don't trust them. We need to set up a failed leadership tribunal. We don't trust them.
Yeah, really, a failed leadership tribunal for our leaders. Because I just realized that when we talk about promises from the government, usually it comes with a doubt. Like, well, until we see it, we're not taking this as it is. But well, if the arrears are paid, it's a good one. I mean, how do you owe workers for 4 years? 4 years, it's a lot. So if they are paid, yes, that will be a really good one. And we are almost done with our headlines this morning. UNN ASU residents urge Nigerian government to prevent another strike. Okay, I'm bringing that to your door, Lajai.
In I think in the public service, right, there's a level of selflessness, which I feel is severely lacking in this current crop, and I don't understand it. Yes, they should get what is their due, but at what point do you even back off and say, you know what, let's even see? What else can we do? I mean, you keep urging federal government, what's the residents' own insight? So at what point are they even going to say, you know what, based on what we've seen, let's work? But I mean, I'm not there fully inside. I just feel that there's just some level of selfishness that underscores a lot of what it is that they're doing. And then there's quite a bit of corruption. So my dad used to be in ASU when he was alive, right? And I know, so my dad, Jega, Professor Jega of, there was one other guy, Professor
INEC.
Ayo. I mean, these guys were all ASU. When you talk about ASU warlords, and I know what ASU was then, right? It's not this mess that we see. Excuse me, but it honestly is a mess right now, right? And so every time I hear ASU, I'm like, that, not again. You know, I think they've lost the integrity of what they're about as an institution, and they need to honestly just go back and take a look at themselves and say, what exactly is it that we're doing? What are our goals? Why are we doing this over and over again? You know, can they even look at the Nigerian students that are coming out of the universities? I mean, what is going on within the system? I don't. So honestly, I don't have a lot to say about that headline. It's just not again, to be honest. I think that's all that comes to me. You know.
Okay, Mr. Itayo, do you have something for us? A prescription, maybe.
We need this prescription. Why is
God,
to be so serious this morning?
It seems to be in teacher mode this morning, like very serious teacher mode.
because I'm
He's
set
so
to do
quiet
some
this
training with
morning.
some
I'm
teachers.
just listening. Oh, I'm saying you didn't invite me to come and train with you.
No, don't worry. Your invitation is loading. This one is
No
not.
strings attached. No strings attached.
No dancing involved.
No, there must be dance. There must be dance.
Okay. Okay, and our last headline: New NECO registrar assumes duty, promises to reform organization. Sometimes I wonder why we have headlines like this.
Do you
We
understand? It's your job not to reform. Why are you promising to do your work? I don't understand.
exactly. Exactly. I think it would make headlines when we start seeing those reforms and people are reporting themselves that, oh, this is
Thank
what the
you.
new NECO registrar did. Not telling us, oh, I promise to reform. No, don't reform them. Just leave it the way it is and go to the office. Okay.
At least he admitted that there is a problem. So that is still at least one step forward in
It's
taking
something,
ownership.
right?
So yes,
Well, well. And we'll hand over to Dr. Motola at this point to take us through the grant of the day.
all right. So the grant of today is from King. I'm going to murder these names. Babdoni Foundation. And the deadline is yes, say it. Help me, Mr. You retire. You said Bab. Okay, thank you. Whatever you said. The deadline is September 7, 2021. So very in about a month and 2 weeks from now. The grant money is between 50,000 euros to 200,000 euros. And the field of work can be applied to education, economic services and development, sustainability, poverty alleviation and services, food access, hunger, healthcare, delivery, and you can read the rest on the screen as well. And the applicant type, which I'm really excited about. So for-profit business can apply. So that means if you're an individual, if you have a business that is legit, that you've registered, it is for you. If you're a non-profit, you can even government entities. So that's universities, all these public universities that are trying to get uh, money from federal government. This is an opportunity to look into this funding source as well and can use it for a project or program. And the location is basically across Africa and other Asian countries. So if you can see, Nigeria is part of the countries that can benefit from this. If you're living in Nigeria or you're interested in any of these areas, the field of work, you can definitely apply and you can go check out the website and definitely get more information, but get your application started soon and we wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you. We wish you the best. And
Thank you,
that
Dr.
takes
Masala.
us into
Thank you.
our topic for today, student experiences. We will not only be talking about the best experiences, we'll talk about some of those experiences that were that wanted to make us swear off school. Like, no, never am I passing in front of the gates of a school again, or those those exciting experiences that we had as students. So I think what I'll just do is take different segments of our lives as students and ask our analysts the reason we're doing this is not to point out where things are wrong. Yes, definitely, we're saying, oh, it could have been better here, or something different could have been done this way. And really, it's hoping that we can effect change from our suggestions. And for some students who probably are watching this or will watch the replay, they would see that there is no temptation that is befalling them now that is new. People have gone ahead that have experienced this thing, or maybe even experienced worse. They came out of it and so they should not give up. So that's the reason we are going through these experiences. It's not to open things that people rather forget, but to effect change and um, to to bring about positive changes. So, who do I start with? I'll start with Mrs. Ajayi. What was your experience in the area of access to your year advisor or
That's in the
faculty
university.
advisor? Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, in the
it was very
university.
good. It was very good, very good. So initially, the person I was assigned to, so I mean, I was very intentional, to be honest. I wanted to make a first class, and I knew if I couldn't make a first class, I wanted to make it 2-1. So I was very intentional for my 200 level. 200 level was, yeah, rubbish. But from my 200 level, I got really intentional with the courses that I was taking, with studying my lecturers, And so by the time I got into 300 level, I knew who I wanted to be my project supervisor, right? I was assigned to somebody else, but then I went back and I said, So I actually requested a meeting to meet my project supervisor, who became my project supervisor, and said I wanted him to work with me. And he said, "Oh, let him see my topic." And I said, "Oh no, with this topic, I couldn't work with him, right? Because he was mostly into planning. So I had to tweak my topic so that it was still the topic I wanted to have, but I had to tweak it. And he gave me that sort of support back then. But then that's why I needed him as my project supervisor, because I knew that he understood the importance of education. He was somebody who was easily accessible. He had an open mind. And I mean, even his classes in school were different from every other person's class. So I mean, with him, I was very deliberate, and I had a good run with my project. Even in final year, generally, he was very helpful to me. Yes, so I had a really good experience in that regard.
Wow. Wow. I'm jealous right now. I'm jealous. Omotala, somehow I feel like Omotala's opinion or views or her experiences will kind of be like the ideal or what we could have had. But let's hear from you.
So for me, I'll say that right from the beginning, once I got into the university year, I was assigned an advisor, and it was not about my interest or anything. So it was more of like, okay, what do you want? That was the focus. Like, what would you like to do? What major? Because here in the United States, you don't have to go in without, you don't need to know what you want to be in. Like for us, like from primary school, secondary school, they will tell us what they want. They will let you, they will help you, they will want you to decide whether you want to be a doctor, lawyer, or banker, and that will direct whether you go to science class, art class, or commercial class. So here, it's like some people, they are undecided until like their third year. So they don't know what they're just taking classes and courses that interest them. And finally, at the last year, the advisor will help them package it together. But for me, I knew that because I was in science class when I was in Nigeria, but I knew that I didn't want to do anything that has to do with medicine because I didn't like that side of things. I wanted to help people, not heal people or cure people of illness. I wanted to help them like emotionally with material stuff and physically stuff. So when I got to the US, they didn't care that I had a science background or anything. Just went, okay, what do you want? And then they designed it. So they have like a sheet of paper already created, and we walked through each of the what do you call it, courses, and how I can take it, whether I wanted to take 3 or 4 classes per semester or 5. it was up to me, and they advised me on whether this was a good idea. Then I still had to work 20 hours a week as a student. So how I could manage everything, and gave me resources for like, okay, if you need help with like, cause English was like coming here, like my English was not that great because of the experience I had in secondary school. So they gave me resources that I could go to help me with my writing, or when I got started and things like that. So they just had a system that they had a system and a structure in place, and it was centered about what I wanted, and then they helped me to design that plan, and I can go forward. And another thing they encouraged was for us to take like have minors, so it's almost like a certification, but it's your choice. They have like up to 10 to 12 different minors, and so if you're interested, you can pursue that. So it's not like this school that we read in the headline that just say the students have to take one specific specialization in information technology. We had 12 to choose from, and it was optional for you to choose that if you want that as well. So mine was more of, what do you want? Then we can help you create it and design it and guide you in the process. And then we could meet like every other week or every month. It was up to me how much time I wanted to meet with the advisor, and then I could set that up.
Wow, that really is interesting. And I would like to follow up question on that. But before that, I'd like to welcome, we have a fuller house now. We have been joined by two more of our analysts, Mr. Jude Ashiedu and Mrs. Rhoda Odigo. You're welcome to the show this morning. Oh,
Good
it's not struck
morning,
out.
team. Good morning, team.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
KK. Good morning, Mr. Rotimi.
Wow, okay.
We have a quiet Mr. Rotimi this morning. A very quiet Mr. Rotimi.
Under
He's getting into
meditation.
the spirit of teaching. Yes.
Okay, we're going to hear from him
Your
soon.
plans will not work.
Teaching is for high.
Eh,
So you should, I need to be seeing the ginger. I'm not
I'm,
reading my
I'm down. I'm downloading on a fast kbps. So don't interrupt my downloading fast.
Well, we're going to hear from him very soon. He usually has some very interesting stories about college, about high school, about university. But before that, Omotola, how did this experience with with your year advisor, how did it help you through, especially since you had that experience in year one? Was it influential at all to your journey through your academic journey?
Absolutely, it was, because for me, I've always wanted this opportunity. I like the best of both worlds. I want to learn, then apply. I don't want to just wait until after 4 years for me before I apply what I learned, like when I get a job or when. So part of the what she helped me to do was like every semester she designed an opportunity for me to like practicalize what I was learning. So even though I didn't have to do an internship until my last year, but every semester, every summer holiday, which is about 4 months of break between like May and August or September, depending on when we resume, I had like my plan, my step. Okay, this is when you need to start applying for internship. Like, so let's say we have a spring semester, which is January to May. So by March, she'll say you need to start applying for this thing. She'll even suggest places that she thinks I'm a good fit for. She'll send them to me, advise me to say, oh, I think you'd be interested in this because I know you mentioned this, that you're interested in working with children, or you're interested in working with the homeless as well. So she really provided the guidance that I needed along the way, and she was always available. So all I needed to do is just send an email to say I need to schedule an appointment, and then she'll send me her availability, and then we'll walk through that. And so it really helped me, and I was able to finish my college degree within 3 years, which was really wonderful, because that was why I ran away from Nigeria in the first place, because I didn't want to spend more than 4 years in college. And due to the planning process and how she helped me, I finished in 3 years with distinction, just with that as well.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Fine. There's still hope. Well, I'd like to hear from Mr. Itaya this morning. What's your experience with a year advisor at any of the levels?
I yeah, advisor. I was going to skip that. Well, I think that I had an interesting one, especially when I had an experience of having a carryover not a carryover. I had three carryovers the same day, as in I saw the result the same day. That was the first time I could how do I put it? That was the first time seeing a result made me dizzy, you know. And the bad part about it is that they post our results openly, so it's not something you could. So everybody rushed to go and check results, and everybody was asking, "Where's your own? Where's your own?" I'm still trying to check, "Where's your own?" And I just saw it. I just moved away. And then people that know your matric number, they will check on your behalf. And everybody just came to me and gathered like it was in a circle, and then they were speechless. Now, you know, the don't laugh, Jude. It wasn't funny. The interesting part was that there are people that we taught in tutorials that passed, and we the teachers failed. So that was when I knew that there was something called level advisor. So I had to go back to meet him, and I was so bold. I just went to meet him and said, young man, what can I do for you?" I just kept quiet. I said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Everything is wrong. I saw my scores, and I don't think that's my score." And he looked at me, said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Okay, let's go to your your lecturers." And he went, they just told one of the lecturers, said, "I know this boy, he cannot lie. He's my abro." He said that he didn't get that score. And the next thing the lecturer said is, what do you think you should get? And I said, I can't fail, Sha. I know I can't fail. And guess what? The guy just changed my scores there and then. He put a B. I said, "Okay, let's go to the other two. Maybe a miracle will happen." And the same thing happened in the second one. But the third one was where I really got concerned, because when I got to the third person, he said I should look for my script. And guess what? When we're searching, the scripts were put in a sack. When we're checking, I saw people that I knew. The cover had the name, the inner pages were out, and they marked what they saw. So pretty much sometimes when you see some experiences where people write or sit for an exam, and it seems like the scores don't tally with what they had expected. Sometimes it might be the sheet handling, because some of these answer sheets were loose. They're not well stapled. Production quality was low. And then the handling of the sheets, especially when you're submitting and everybody's rushing to submit. So I saw so many things. And so by the time I was trying to I couldn't see to be honest, I didn't see my script. I checked everywhere. Now I noticed that because a lot of people were checking for their scripts, they didn't handle the unmarked sheets properly. So that was the general cause. It was GNS. So there's some people that had not gotten their result. They had not marked. But guess what? Because people were in a hurry and they were searching, they were tearing people's sheets. That's student to student too. And I just looked at the man. I said, to be honest, I can't find my sheet of paper. I wrote the exam, and then he did a confirmation of my previous level. And next thing, he just did what? He just wrote a B for me as well. That's the only time I knew that, there could be miracles when it comes to result. Trust me, it wasn't funny, because to go and write the exam again was not. I wasn't having it. So that's it. I've seen carryover students in my class, and then I'm imagining myself going back into another class with clashing timetables. It wasn't funny. So I think that's when I knew how powerful a level advisor could be. But I also saw the gaps that we're not having to honest, because the honest truth was there are things that they should tell us, not at the point of trouble, but before we get into any. That's why it's called level advisor. We didn't have level counsel, not to talk of advisor. And some of these lecturers, you had to literally sometimes pray before you go there. Some people, you knock on their door, they say, "What is it?" You just say, "Sorry, sir," and you go back. You won't even answer what he came for. I know there's a particular man. They made him my project supervisor, and by the time I I went to see him, everybody had told me that you will not graduate with everybody. I want to withhold his name just in case people who join us online. And guess what? What saved me was something very funny. Look, he was dissing someone, and I was looking at how he was dissing the person. So he saw the shock on my face. He now looked at me and cracked it. He said, "Are you scared?" I said, "No, I'm not scared." But I started laughing. I just love the fact that I was bold. Not everybody To be honest, I laugh when I'm in trouble or when I feel scared. Sometimes I laugh. But then he thought it was boldness at that time, and that thing happened to be in my favor. And he helped me on how to do my project. And then anytime I come around, he remember that day. And then he'll tell me, okay, work on this, work on this. And everybody thought I used charm on the man because every other person had it tough, but I didn't have it tough with him per se. So student experiences, it's both sweet and sour. Lectures were the ones I did not like. But level advisor, I didn't really interact with a lot of people, especially until it was towards final year. Thank you.
Wow, I can relate with that. I had the same level advisor from year one till year eight, year four, and I really
You should win an award, the oldest on the ground.
mine was her. I had people who were seniors though, who were in school for much longer than that. But the painful part is I had a level advisor. We were not many in my department. We were less than 10 in my department. Yet our level advisor was not saying anything. So for someone like me, I didn't know that I had carryovers until my final year when I was almost to do my clearance. That's when I knew that I had carryovers, and eventually it resulted in an extra session. And well, I've forgiven my level advisor. The trauma cannot be erased, but I have forgiven my level advisor, and I wish that the level advisor had been much more awake to her responsibilities. I mean, there were times that we didn't even know what our results were. I thank God I had parents who trusted that I was in school and I was not eating the money they were giving to me, because how do you put a child in school and for 3 years or even for one entire session you don't know what their results are? I remember that at the time my dad had to write to request for my results, and what my HOD at the time said was, your results are not missing. If at any time your results are missing, we'll let you know. That was the response. And well, all the same, thank God we have worked that way. And this takes me to looking at the experience in another area related to what we have just talked about. Meanwhile, welcome to the show, Derry. I see you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
And that takes me to experience with results. How did it feel having results pasted on the wall for everybody to see? Would it have been better to have your results presented to you privately in wherever, or having it posted on the wall? And here I will start with Mr. Shedu, and then I'll go to Derry.
I think we should qualify it before you answer and Jude answers.
Okay.
There's the pasting of results in your department. There's the pasting of results at the business center, general business
Oh
center.
wow. Okay.
So it's not that you went to your department. Anybody passing will see. And there are some lecturers, they use the full sheet. They don't use matric alone. They use your name, the matric number. So you see something like Eitire wrote to me, then matric number 000. So people now write those things down to monitor you all through school. Sometimes some people just wake up and say, I see your result. And then you're like, oh my God, what happened? What happened? You know those kind of things. Over to Jude.
Okay. Pasting of results, right? Mm. I had that experience when I think that was even the first year anyway. I had the experience of wow, are we supposed to be broadcasting results to our peers? Though it had this like embarrassing side, right? If for those doing well, it's like a bragging right for them, right? For those struggling, it was like okay, okay. But the truth is that I think maybe it's a technology thing, right? I don't know. I think maybe it's a technology thing because when you print results, right? Maybe the database were not enabled to does not allow you select certain records to just print, right, without including the other records. And maybe most of the department takes it as a way of okay. this is your results. We are not hiding anything. So if you look at it from the department side, it's like we are not hiding anything. This is your results, and they are not looking at it to protect the student interest. They are doing it on their own behalf. To okay, we are broadcasting the results. We have as a way of telemanagement. The result is out, right? So I think that's the idea from the management aspect, that we are showing you that your result is out. But from the student aspect, it has a different connotations, because you get like Mr. Rotimi said, you get people come to you, I've seen your results. It means like they slept. This they are telling you I've seen your result. That's like 6 a.m. in the morning. 6 a.m. in the morning. So it's like maybe they have been they have just been waiting at the door of the results to see, to go through it. And people, most times, even students use it negatively, right? They use it negatively. It becomes a thing of gossip. It becomes a thing of unnecessary talk. So I believe if results will be pasted by this point in time, it should be better off. You go to your portal, right? You go to your portal and see your results and all that, and it becomes it's a private thing. It's not what is supposed to be broadcasted to the rest of the world. But then we didn't have portals. We didn't have portals. We just once you're done with your exam, you go to the wall and see your result. But now that there's portal, it should be more digital rather than pasting it on as if it's a newsprint or a newspaper.
Like results were headline
Yes, yes,
news.
yes.
Okay. Derry, what was your experience with people coming to tell you your result before you have even seen it?
Does that day also post people's result at the lecture?
Okay, yeah, that's another side of it.
Yeah, I know. So, okay, I think I'm going to give both perspective, because one of the reasons they would typically paste results, now that I see it, is the fact that, you give probably students a timeline and you say, come and check your results in my office and all. And you see, like, some students will even come and check till after one semester, like their results. And it's after one semester that they discover that probably they have a missing result and all. And you're wondering what happened. Like, were you sick? Were you out of school? You said no, like you just called me and you're like wondering, wow, like you didn't come and check. And typically even when I was in school back then, they would give us like a 1 week timeline to say, come and check your result just in case there is any error, and or we can rectify it because okay, the way it works is when a result is collated at the department, it goes to CDT for approval and all that. So when they come back, they say, oh, before we enter it onto like a broadsheet, let me put it that way, and say, oh, add it to your GP from previous semesters. You need to come and check, maybe because you could make mistakes. So there was room for that, but then people won't check, or people won't even go to the course advisor to go and check. And one of the other reasons why I think they used to paste it was, I remember I had an experience, maybe it was in year 2 or year 3, that I needed to go and check my results in his maths department. And there was this guy that was really renowned for molesting female students. So he would not paste your results. You would have to go to the office to go and check it. And when you go there, that is when all the talk of, oh, yeah, a fine girl, all those things started. And I had first-hand experience with that. So if my result had been pasted, I wouldn't probably have gone into his office to go and check that result or something. So we may be seeing it like, oh, they pasted our result, but I think it could actually curb something such as sexual harassment. However, I think the name shouldn't be posted, because if not that the person is your friend, the person may not know your matric number. It's hard for someone to monitor your matric number, like as in how many people's matric number can you crack. So because there was an incident in my final year where they posted results, full results, and somebody had complete Fs or something like that, and he went to Lagoon Front to go and commit suicide. So that was that was really terrible situation, but good enough. Then there were like at the Lagoon Front, there are always these lifesavers, and it didn't lead to death. I guess maybe since then, I don't know if it was that particular incident. So, but they were very careful about, okay, if you come to my department, maybe like night time, you just see a cutout of your name. Even if the broadsheet has the entire thing, they cut out the name section. So it's just the matric number. So if you did not ask your friend to go and check and give your friend your matric number, most likely they won't know your results. But I've looked at the good side, the bad side. It has its good side, because I know there was one of my two stars and I was like, I will even come and see your results when it comes out as this guy that is always doing shakara. And I was in my head, I was like, God, please let me pass. So that this guy will not fall, I'll not fall my hand in front of this guy. So it had good sides, it had bad sides. So I can't really say if the good outweighs the bad. But now that there is that thing of you can check on your portal, I think that thing of you don't have to go to a lecturer's office to go and check, not to now talk of the person toasting you, is out of the way. Yeah, but then you can never tell if you had a mistake, because you're not seeing any other person's results. If it's just your results, you cannot see what the class performance is. You don't know whether it is just you that failed or it is everybody. It is a general thing. So at the end of the day, it's easy for maybe a lecturer that gains pleasure from failing students to fail you all, because it's only your results you saw. So, but if you saw every other person's results, it's easy for you to pick up a movement and say, no, we all failed. Let's go and question this result. So it has its good side and it has its bad sides, really. I am not sure I want to support one side.
Sorry, I need to say something. There are people who I've had situations while I was in university. I've had situations where people actually want to take a pound of flesh. There are people who actually go out scouting for people, and they're trying to plot who is in first class, who is in second class upper. And I've seen people witch hunt people with that. I've seen people who have been brought down because they told them that, look, this guy is almost getting there, and then they go to some lecturers. There are ladies that probably because they go on the fast lane, they now want to victimize some other ladies or guys. I've seen it happen firsthand where you just say, this person is on a strong 2-1. Oh. There's some, we need to do something. And then they now talk to other lecturers. And you just find out for no reason, the GP just gets cut down, especially when you're getting to penultimate year or final year. You know, there are people who do that. You said people can't cram. People don't cram. There's a book they write all the matric number, and then when they also give ID card, when you pay for semester, they give ID card. They will not give a class rep. That person will now take your ID card before he gives it to you. He would have done his own log. He's a mini department himself. So those things, this right to privacy. Look, we didn't pay school fees as joints. We didn't do pool school fees payment. So it is what is not what is good or bad. It is what is right we should look for. And that's why sometimes, and I know some people would have seen it from their personal interpretation. But when we look at it from objectivity, I don't think at best, have an exam center or have a department you go to and mandate people. Do you understand? You shouldn't be, you should, and everybody plays their name God. Even the people that post it in business center, they post it for a period. They tear it up and tell you to pay so you can have your shit. You understand? Everybody fleeces on things in that atmosphere that way.
Wow.
The university system is an interesting one. I know of people who used to take down result sheets, make photocopies, and then put it back up. So they had the entire class data. So they really did not. They just keep doing that every time results are out, and they make a photocopy. They put it back. Some won't even put it back up, and then they become the Jagaban of the department of the faculties. If it's a faculty course, they become the Jagaban of the faculty. You have to go to them with some offers to see those results. From the comments we're seeing, I see that things are getting better with checking results. From what we're seeing, there are people saying that there are portals now to check, and that is far better than having it up there. But as we round off, one thing that is common, or a general headache that many students had, was with accommodation on campus. That's for universities where there was campus accommodation. Where there was no campus accommodation, it was a completely different thing. And I would like to hear from everybody what your accommodation experience was in school. So I'll go from Mr. Shedu to Mr. Jai to Omotala and then to Darian. Sorry, Darian and then Mr. Eitaya. Sorry. Okay, I'm not hearing. If he's speaking, I'm not hearing him yet. Okay, Amatola, let's hear from you.
So for me, it was like I was in Wonderland. So we had. I was just laughing when you guys were talking about your experience with result, and I'm like, no, our result, like if you do midterms, you get it within 1 week or 2 weeks. They even tell you, okay, this is what I need you to make corrections. If you do these corrections, then we submit your paper. I can increase your score. Blah 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 blah. So I was just laughing. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I apologize on all of your behalf. But anyways, back to the accommodation.
Whoa.
So it's like imagine imagine the living face me and face you houses, right? So imagine the living room. Like I lived in face you for the first 15 years of my life. So imagine the living room, which is quite big, right? So but you only have 2 beds in it. And so you 2 students, you have your chairs, you have your tables, you have a fridge or microwave, or you can bring it yourself. Then you have the toilets that you and your roommate share, or sometimes they do it as suite mates. So there'll be another room, and then there's a bathroom that links from both rooms to each other, and you can lock it from when you're in the bathroom or in the toilet as well in that regard. And then you have access to electricity 24/7, running water, everything you need, internet connection, TV with cable. So it was more of like being in Wonderland for me. And I cannot relate to all this cutting and things like that in a way. And so for me, it was like I had a lot of space. I had a lot of opportunity to go. You have your own key that can use to enter the building, to enter your room, and all of those kind of things as well. So it was, yeah.
Next. Yeah, you didn't go to school. Take it.
She went to hotel.
You didn't at all.
What's like your hotel? I don't even understand what you're talking about.
Don't worry, I'm going to build a I'm going
Please,
to build something like that in UI very soon. So watch out, 2022. My hostel is coming exactly like that.
If you remove a bottle from the show.
You went to homestel, not hostel. Homestel.
I'm just rolling my eyes.
You have new plan. You don't have to cook if you don't want to cook. It's part of your tuition that you paid.
The next person.
Okay. On. Moving on. Mr. Sajai. Holiday camp, really.
To be honest with you, so in 100 level, I wanted to stay in the university. So my dad was a lecturer in the University of Benin. My mom was working in the university library, right? So we stayed on campus. But I was forming, I want to be independent. My dear, I don't even, I lasted 2 days. I carried my baggage. In fact, I left some of my things in hostel. I ran back to my house. What? I couldn't stand it, But I mean, just going to visit my friends, the lack of privacy, the state of the facilities, grimy. I don't know how people didn't sleep and slide and get hurt just going in and out of the toilets. Then I went to so yeah, horrible experience in the university. In secondary school, it was better because so I went to university secondary school as well, UDSS, in Benin back then, so it was a better experience at that time. But uni was not. But I stayed after that. Like I said, I stayed at home. In fact, some of my friends.
There's a phone ringing. somebody's phone is ringing. Please check. All right. So I will. Oh, Darren just dropped out when I said to hear her experience. All right. Mr. Itaya, let's hear your experience with accommodation. Just one of the experiences.
One of my experiences. Accommodation. I had the very first place I stayed in school. It was a mini bungalow. My room was like the size of a big sitting room, and it's a self-contained. I was squatting with someone, but that was the first time I knew that rats used to do inter-house sports. Because we had dangerous rats. We call them travelers. As in, you would think they are human beings when they run in the roof. You hear, you know. I had strange animals walking, and sometimes at night you see two rams walking. You wonder how they got into the compound. You know, that's when I learned shot put. I never knew what shot put was. I thought shot put was the track and field events. Um, at some point in time, I noticed that I was having some behavioral challenge because I didn't now like using toilet properly. I preferred the outdoor experience. So that was in the next thing. When you buy nylon and people are wondering why you're buying a lot of nylon, you're saving nylon bags, and people are wondering what are you saving it for? So if you know what I'm trying to say. Then there was an exciting part of it because where I used to stay was like in the bush. So we used to go snail hunting early in the morning, and we used to we used to harvest tomato from someone's farm. Bad influences. They tell you that there's talisman or voodoo on the farm. That if you pick up the tomato, something will happen to you. And that's when I heard that charm does not affect a group of students. It doesn't even affect students most times. So we'll go and we naturally what it was, we stole tomatoes. We didn't harvest, we stole tomatoes, we hunted for snail, and we're living the life. So accommodation was quite an interesting one. It created different twists to independence. That's when I knew how to make garden egg stew. That's when I knew how to do a lot of concussion. That's when I knew what they call sleeping beans. One of my colleagues used to finish up a plastic of curry when he's making beans. And you just find out when you eat that beans, in less than 15 minutes, you will knock off. So that's my experience so far.
Wow. Okay. Very quick. Over to you. I hope you didn't stay in a mini zoo.
Like I for my secondary school, university, I stayed in the hostel. I went to a federal government college. So from secondary school, I think I grew used to the hard life of what staying in the hostel was like. So and I can relate with his own experience of rats. In fact, the rats in my secondary school used to eat our palms and feet. And it was it was terrible. Like you would have to be blowing it because rat has eaten your entire feet and you can not even wear your socks. So it was a terrible experience in secondary school. Going to the University of Lagos, you would think it was going to be better. I remember I used to stay at newest stall in year one. And newest stall, I stayed in a 12-man room. 12-man room supposedly, but we were 27. So scotters had floaters. Like, when you're squatting, if all of you doubled up, you should be 24. But then scotters now had floaters in such a way that when everybody, and it was a student's bed, 2 by 4, that's two slim student's bed. And I think back, it was I and my sister, and because we even paid for the hostel to start with, like we bought it from somebody at 30,000 naira, that bed space. Then this was in 2003, 30,000 naira a bed space. And so of course your father wasn't going to give you money for 30,000 naira. So we had to share bed space. And you could hardly sleep. That was when I learned, I think, another level of tolerance, because somebody is busy on their bunk dancing to Shonda Paul in the middle of the night. Like somebody is carrying something to wee wee in the room because they don't want to go out. And like there was just like that level of chaos. And we had a boys' hostel next to us then, and those ones were another set of I don't understand. You would go to the back of your hostel and they would just, everything a guy can say because they are hiding behind their window. You can't see their faces. So they had a lot of, they would say, you flat this thing, by a drawing board. Like everything was just, I'm like, wow. And it was just chaos, really. Even like at the university, it was chaos. Even up until I got to year 4, or maybe year 3, I stayed in Amina. Less people, maybe it was a 4-man room, but then I had this roommate that, oh my Lord, as in, she was all level of devilish, as in, if there's anything like that, that she was out to frustrate you. She would just wake up in the middle of the night and start shouting, fire, 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 fire. Like you would think it's fire. No, she used to attend mountain of fire. She's trying to pray. So it was just, I remember I'm like, maybe that's why I'm such a patient person till now, because I survived secondary school and I survived university. So I'm like, there's almost anything you can do. If I could survive those experiences, and like you can't push my buttons. So that was my experience. Yeah.
Wow, we've had a robust show this morning, and two things I remember from my accommodation or two things that I would want to talk about when I remember my accommodation in the university was year 1, we were a community, like we were a community by ourselves in my room, the first room I stayed in before I got the official school space. And by the time I got the official school space assigned to me, there were 2 of us given the same space. It wasn't a mistake. We were co-joined to that same student space, and it wasn't a corner space, it was the middle. So 2 of us to that space. My goodness, I avoided that room for as much as I could. And many times I slept in the common room. Or well, when I got rescued, I had plays when it was project play season in the dramatic arts department. I was taking courses with them. We would do rehearsals all night, and for me, I didn't have an issue with it because it meant avoiding my room. So I didn't have an issue with it. I would rather sleep in the department, go in the morning, have my bath, and take off again. And then after that, by my year 2, when my school ID card was produced, my sex was written as male. We tried to change it. I tried to get that thing changed. It wasn't changed. And so I didn't bother anymore. I didn't know it was going to wait for me in front. By the time I got to final year, when I was entitled to a school space again, of course, I was assigned a space in the male hostel. To get that change was Herculean. Of course, it wasn't changed. I had to eventually buy a space. And my goodness, accommodation, you would sleep, somebody on the top bunk would plug water on, and how anybody felt that was reasonable, I still cannot fathom it. You'd plug water on the top bunk, knowing that this is spring. If the person at the bottom just moved slightly, the whole thing was coming down on them. But hey, we are here today, survived. And we're here recounting all the stories. Apart from Omotola, who, right now, I am personally beefing you for all that vacation experience you had with university. And imagine hot and cold water on demand.
Honestly, that was a vacation experience. She was in vacation.
Don't worry. We are going to change things for the better. We are the future. We are going to make things better.
But in concluding, if you notice, these things we're laughing at, let's thank God that due to other factors, we turned out what we are today. I can tell you that a lot of people got into cultism because of the student experiences. I remember in year 1, I narrowly escaped what they call that, the initiation. And the way they initiate is not the conscious one. You just attend a birthday party, and from there, So a lot of people's lives were mad because of this. Some people got into drinking, use of drugs, use of several things because they were not educated
Okay, it looks like there's a freezing at his end, but yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
completely agree. I completely agree.
Yeah.
I can imagine that as a female who did not have space, who didn't have bed space, if there had been a guy that offered space and said, "Oh, I have a room in town, I have a BQ in staff quarters, something. Can you come stay with me?" It would be really difficult to turn that down. Really
It's
difficult.
I totally understand. There was a lady it happened to, and she moved in, and within a span of 1 year, I remember she had aborted 3 pregnancies, and she still had to live there. I remember her speaking to me then in year one. I was 17. So I was basically clueless on what to even tell her to do because her parents were not in Lagos. So it was either she was in school staying there, aborting pregnancies for this guy that was accommodating her, or she goes back to, I think, Akure or something. So I totally, I remember
Yeah.
now, and I
Okay, so Isaitayo, would you are you back with us?
Okay, so yeah, I'm back. I just end with the fact that a lot of people have got into what we call, and we owe, they paid for services to get into school. We owe them that much. At least if we can't make them better, let us leave them intact. Of course, as adults, you do whatever you want because you're an adult, but the truth of the matter is the environment itself can make a mess of an adult. And I'm so surprised that a lot of people are not mature heading into universities in uncontrolled environment. There's something that they used to say, catch them young. If you understand that in university, that catch them young was negative than positive. People were excited at matriculation, take advantage of accounts. 6 weeks, they're fleecing people of money. 6 weeks. You know what? Let's end the show. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, and we're going to end the show on a very bright note. We have had experiences that maybe we would have not wanted to remember, but at least one thing that we're taking out of this is that come year 2023, Omotola Akishala is giving us a new hostel
Yes.
accommodation, starting with one
University of Ibadan. I have
accommodation.
1 acre of land I'm going to develop. I'm serious.
Thank
It has
you.
been a
Don't
vision
don't
for like
start from University of Ibadan. Don't start from Ibadan.
and if they
Just
give me land,
don't
I'll come.
worry. We have
I
land
just
to
need the
give
land.
you.
If they give me land, no problem.
We
Let's
have
do it.
land to give you. We
Okay,
have land
I'll
to give
hold you
you.
to that,
Yeah.
please. Let's
So
do it.
you know.
I already created the architectural, everything is ready. The blueprint is ready. So don't worry. It's going to happen.
Awesome.
And I'm also
Awesome. Great
taking
things start from a
investments
great
too.
school.
All of you, you can be partners in progress for this.
Yeah.
We'll
We're going
apply
to
for
start that
grants
great
for
thing
it.
from the
All
great
right.
school, you know. And so this morning we're going to end on a very happy note. Yes, it's a thank you to every of our tribe members. Thank you, Ayobolandi. I know you have been so engaging this morning. Thank you to Senna, Odushala, Olumide, and everyone who has been part of our show this morning. Al Scott E, thank you very much. And to all the analysts, thank you for being here this morning. And so this morning we are ending on a very exciting note as we
KK dance, KK dance, KK dance, KK dance, dance, dance,
Go,
KK
Keke.
dance,
Go,
dance,
Keke.
dance,
Go,
KK
go,
dance.
go, 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 go.
yeah, so at the countdown to two, we take our payoff line. Is it 2, 1, let's go.
It's
It's
always a
always a
great
great
morning
Good
morning
morning,
on the
education
Good
show.
Morning
Good morning,
Education Show.
education
Have a
show.
wonderful day, everyone.
Bye.
bye. Good day.